Muse is a Spanish card game, widely played in Spain and Hispanic America, and to a lesser extent in France. Most probably originated in the Basque Country, it is a vying game. The first reference about this game goes back to 1745, when Manuel Larramendi, philologist and Jesuit Basque, quoted the trilingual dictionary. In Spain it is the most played card game, spawning several muse clubs or peñas, and becoming a staple game among college students. It is not uncommon to hear the Basque terms, such as originated, used by Spanish speakers, often without them being aware of the literal meanings of the terms and phrases. The origin of the word muse is uncertain. It could come from the Basque language, where mosus means kiss, the established signal of the better possible card combination. Larramendi wrote about the word muse or mosus meaning lips or face, and suggests that the name of the game could have derived from the facial gestures used while playing. Following another theory, the word muse comes from the Latin muso, that means keep silent. It is conjugated as muse, in opposition to talk, that is the word used to open the game. According to a third hypothesis, the word could come from the French word mouche, from Latin musula, although the concept fly has no relation with any part of the game. History. Basque immigrants carried the game to other countries such as the USA and Australia, where it is played in Basque clubs. Nowadays there is an international muse tournament, in addition to many national and regional competitions. Description: the game is played between two opposing pairs of players with the Spanish deck, which is a deck of 40 cards, without 8s, 9s, or 10s and no jokers, and it has a variety of different rules in the different regions of Spain. The game has 4 rounds: grande, playing for the highest combination of cards; chica, playing for the lowest combination of cards; pairs, playing for the best matching card combination; juego, playing for cards total values of 31 or more, sometimes replaced by a punto special round. In each of these 4 rounds, players take by order a call each, verbalizing whether he them will bid a pass, which only results in skipping call turn to next player. After all 4 players have spoken each round, the bids made are left hanging until the scoring round at the end. If no bet was made and all 4 players passed to bid, the round is impasse, and will be decided at the end of the hand for a reduced value of just 1 point. It has a distinctive feature in that passing some established signals between players is perfectly allowed during the game. One other special feature of Muse is that it is a mostly verbal game, with little card involving action, limited to deal and discard. After cards are dealt and Muse is stopped, all rounds are played verbally. Bets are called, passed, accepted or rejected, but cards are not shown, dealt or touched in any further way, and the player is only obliged to show them in the end of the round if needed in order to resolve any accepted bet. This makes Muse more difficult to learn simply by watching others play than most other card games, as it can be difficult to follow simply by watching. Gameplay. Muse is played by 4 players working as 2 teams. Partners sit opposite each other and play moves in a counterclockwise direction. Every hand consists of 4 rounds: handia, texikia, parik and joker. If the game round cannot be played because nobody has a hand total value of 31 or more, the whole round is replaced by puntua. After the 4th round, there is a scoring round when all scores are calculated. The game is played with a pool of 30 points in the middle of the table. The points are usually represented by beans, coins, or sometimes any other object, which are called hammereko when playing the game. When a point is scored by a couple, one of this couple players takes a bean and puts it on the team's side. To decrease the need for lots of beans, one player's side counts as 1-point beans and the other side as 5-point beans. This makes it possible to play with only 16 beans in the table. A match is divided into games. Each game is won by the first team to reach 30 points. In Spain, 3 games count as 1 vaca and 3 vacas win the match, although there are many other scoring variations. For example, in some places the game is played to 5 games and 5 vacas. However, in the Basque Country and northern Spain, La Rioja, Meuse may be played with 4 kings and at 40 points instead of the standard 30. This variation has to be played with 22 beans in the pool instead of 16. In the rest of Spain, the regular rules are 8 kings and 30 points. When played with 8 kings, 3s count as kings and 2s count as aces. With 8 kings, it is much easier to get good hands and riskier to bet high. Starting the game in the first game, the dealer is selected randomly. After that, the dealer will be the last game's first player. In this way, the speaking order changes in each game and all the players get to be the first one to speak at some point. The dealer shuffles the cards and his left-hand player cuts the deck. After this, he deals 4 cards, 1 card at a time, to each player, starting with the player to his right and finishing with himself. Once the cards have been dealt, he puts the deck aside and the game begins. The first player to speak will be the player at the right-hand side of the dealer. Being the dealer is disadvantageous because ties are solved by speaking order. In case of a tie, the person who spoke first wins. Meuse, or no meuse. Starting with the player to the right-hand side of the dealer, each player declares whether or not they want to have a discard phase. By turns they say either meuse or no meuse. The turn to speak is as follows: 1 mano, 2 his or her partner, 3 second player, 4 fourth player, which is the dealer in the random partner of the last one. This position is commonly known as poster, as he comes last in the playing order, so he has a somehow handicapped ability in that hand. This way the team that speak first can seem to render themselves vulnerable, letting the opposition know that their cards are not good enough, since they want to discard. The opposition team can then decide whether or not there will be meuse. Only if all 4 players agree, there is a discard phase, where they can discard up to all 4 cards or none at all. The dealer feeds to each player the requested cards one by one. After discard, the players repeat the process of discussing a new discard phase until at least one of them finally disagrees. If needed, the discarded pile can be reshuffled and dealt again as many times as needed. After a player refuses to have a new discard phase, the playing rounds begin. Of course, having 1 or more discard rounds will make the player and his partner get better cards. But the same applies for the opposing couple, so this is the point to be considered regarding meuse. The rounds. Grande. The first round is called grande. The 2 teams compete for the highest combination of cards. The highest cards in the Spanish deck are the kings, followed by knights and jacks. In the variant game with 8 kings, the 3s work as the regular kings and therefore as high. For example, a hand like King Knight 7 would be better for this round than King Knight 7, as it is a bidding game. If one team does not accept the bid, then they may not win the hand even though they have higher cards. Chica. The second round is the chica. The 2 teams compete for the lowest combination of cards. The lowest cards in the Spanish deck are the aces. In the variant game with 8 kings, there are also 8 aces, with the 2s being the second set of aces. For example, a hand like ace-5 knight would be better for this round than ace-5 king. It is exactly the opposite as the first round, and therefore a player can never have an excellent hand for both rounds at the same time. The chica is a round that is overtly despised by most players, since binning to it reveals that the player has quite low cards, thus letting him in a weakened position in the remaining rounds. Further to this, since all players probably have quite high cards, the chances of getting the bid accepted are scarce. Pairs before the third and fourth are played. Players run a pre-round declaring whether they have matching cards. In this pre-round, the players announce by turns pairs see or pairs no. Having matching cards means that two or more of the cards in the hands have the same face value. If none of the players in a team can play it, the whole round is skipped and the other team will score the round in the scoring phase. If none of the four players has pairs, the whole round is skipped altogether. The lowest combination of matching cards for this round is a single pair, followed by three of a kind and the highest two pair. Unlike in poker, amused two pair is a better combination than three of a kind. This accounts for the fact that it is usually played with 8 kings and 8 aces, which makes three of a kind easier to attain. In case of a tie, the combination with the highest value wins. A knight 5 hand would beat ace king. If two players had exactly the same pairs combination, the tie is solved by speaking order. The player who spoke first wins. In the variant game with 8 kings, 3s are kings and 2s are aces for all purposes. This means that a hand such as king 3 minus 2 ace is effectively a 2 pair of kings and aces. Juego. The fourth and last round is the Juego. As in the pairs round, players run a pre-round before the actual round, declaring whether they are able to play or not. Being able to play the Juego round means that the total value of the cards in the player's hand is 31 or higher. Players announce by turns Juego sí or Juego no. In order to be able to play this round, players have to sum up the face values of the cards, except for face cards, which all count 10. In the variant game of 8 kings, 3s count as kings and 2s count as aces, and therefore they add 10 and 1 respectively to the total hand value. For example, a hand like king 3, 3, 2 will add up to 31 points. The highest total card value for this round is 31, followed by 32, then 40, 37, 36, 35, 34 and the lowest is 33. 38 and 39 are impossible combinations, because in the Spanish deck there are number 8s and 9s. Take into account that 31 is a very easy combination to have in the 8 kings variant, since there are so many 10 value cards and aces. If none of the players of a team can play it, the round is finished and the other team will score the round in the scoring phase. In the situation where none of the 4 players can play the Juego round, it will be replaced by punto. The players compete for the highest total card value, being 30 the highest possible total. As usual, in case of a tie, the speaking order rule will solve it. Good hands for the fourth round involve having at least 2 10-point cards. The only combination of cards that has only one 10-point card is king, knight, jack 7, 7, 7. This is clearly difficult to get, and some variants have special rules for this hand and reward it by letting it win against other 31-point combinations regardless of speaking order. Some other regions restrict this special rule to the combination jack 7, 7, 7, and some others restrict it further by requiring jack and 7s to be of specific suits. This is called 31 real, or simply la real. Playing after the cards have been dealt, the players start playing the rounds, starting by the first one. By speaking order, they have the option of bidding or passing. If a player bids, an opposing player may pass a counterbid. An accepted bid will be left pending until the scoring round. The minimum bid is 2 points. Once a bid is accepted, the players move on to the next round. If a counter bid is not accepted, the original bidder scores the amount of points of the original bid. If the first bid is not accepted, the bidder scores 1 point straight away. In the scoring round, winners of pending bids will receive the points. There is an exceptional kind of bid called hors d'argard, which, if accepted, ends the whole game in favor of the winning team. Bids are made and accepted by a single player, but the scoring is made by the team. It is therefore possible to accept a bid you know you're going to lose, but your teammate will win. If all the players pass in the first or second round, the winning team of each of these rounds will get 1 single point in the scoring phase once the cards are revealed. This is often the case for the second round, which teams sometimes refuse to bid on but then later claim the single point if they have the lowest combination of cards, even if it's only with 1 ace. Envido is the commonest expression used to bid. It specifically means a 2-point bid, which is the lowest possible bid. Then the rival could reply with best buy or envido más, which means he wants the 2 bid and even raises the bid 2 more. However, in every round in turn to call, players can bet or raise the existing bet as many points as they wish, or even all of them with no limitations. In parts of Spain it is common to play the Juego by taking a big stone with the left hand and raising it up. If the opponent accepts the bid, he or she has to take a bigger stone and raise it too. Scoring. After the 4 rounds have been played and bids have been accepted, there is a scoring round, where the players show the cards and winning bid players claim the bets. In addition to that, the 3rd and 4th rounds give additional scores to the winners depending on how good the hand was. The winning team of the 3rd round scores 1 additional point for each single pair they have, 2 points for every 3 of a kind and 3 points for every 2 pair. The winning team of the 4th round scores 2 additional points for each player who could play the round of 3 points if that player had a total card value of exactly 31. If they played a punto round instead, the winning team of the round scores 1 single additional point only. Scoring is done in sequence and stopped as soon as a team reaches a winning score. The adago changes the scoring sequence. The adago is evaluated immediately and scoring of all other rounds is discarded. Strategy. It is impossible to have a hand that wins all the rounds, so the best winning hands are usually very good in some rounds, but not all. For example, a hand such as King 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 is very good in the 1st and 3rd round, but exceptionally bad in the 2nd and mediocre in the 4th. Similarly, a hand such as King King Knight Ace is very good in the 4th round, mediocre in 1st and 3rd rounds, and very bad in the 2nd one. Players usually take into account the cards their teammate might have in order to score in rounds they initially had no good cards for. Also, winning 3rd and 4th rounds always gives additional points, and a good strategy is to break the discard phase when both team members can play 3rd and 4th rounds, even with mediocre cards, in order to score those bonuses. Signs in Muse. Passing gesture signs indicating which cards you have to your teammate is perfectly legal, being a decisive strategic factor. However, these signals can only be the ones specified in the rules as explained below. Any non-standard signal is not allowed and would result in disqualification if proved. Knowing your partner's cards and letting him know yours results in a more effective play and allows a more accurate evaluation of the team's chances to win each bet. However, if the rival players see you are your partner while passing a signal and gets to know your his cards, your chances chances will be seriously compromised. If you detect a rival's signal and the rival doesn't realize you know his play, you'll become able to find a weak spot in his cards to counter-attack, reversing the hunter-prey role, or at least avoid his strong point beads. There are many commonly accepted signals allowed in the game. You can use any of them to indicate to your teammate the hand you are holding. The signals have a fixed meaning, and it is against the rules to use other signals or use false signals. The Kainuikat: 2 kings, biting the center of the bottom lip. 3 kings, biting one side of the bottom lip. 2 aces, poking out the tongue. 3 aces, poking out the tongue to one side. Single pair, tilting the head to one side. 3 of a kind, pursing lips to one side of the mouth. 2 pairs, raising the eyebrows. 31, winking. 30, lifting both shoulders. 29, lifting the right shoulder. 28, lifting the left shoulder. I have nothing. This indicates a bad hand. Closing the eyes. Royal 31, touching the earlobe. Not all of these signals are accepted in all variations, and there might be other signals in use. It is always good to clarify the signals in use when playing for the first time. Players have a wide variety of approaches to signal use. Some players make a great number of signals as soon as they have the chance. Some players seldom or never make signals. On the other hand, some players show a honed skill in catching the rival's signals, whereas other players do not even make too much an effort to disrupt the opposing couple's signals. Some would stare continuously and overtly to the rival's faces for intercepting signals, and others would pretend to get distracted, or to be not too interested in catching rivals' signals in order to make them overconfident and thus catch subsequent signals. Named hands in Spain. In Spain, some arrangements have particular names: duples gallegos, king, king, ace, ace. Duples castellanos, also called duples polacos, and duples alemanes, king, king, knight, knight. Duples vascos, king, king, jack, jack. Duples palentinos, king, knight, ace, ace. Actually not duples, as can be seen. 31 real, also la real, jack 7, 7, 7. It is the only combination of cards that adds up to 31 for the fourth round with only one figure card. Different house rules consider this hand to beat any other 31 hand with varying requirements. Some people would allow king 7, 7, 7, while others would require the original jack 7, 7, 7 only when the jack is of a specific suit. Some people restrict it further by requiring that the sevens be of different suit than the jack. As an example, the rules of a particular tournament might declare that the only hand considered royal 31 is the jack of coins together with the 7s of swords, clubs and cups. La Jugada del Tio Paret 4, 5, 6, 7. It is simply the worst hand possible. It is weak in all 4 rounds. Certain house rules allow a single point to be awarded to a player that openly declares this hand before starting to play. Some other places might call it differently. Tanganet in Liri, or you repeater it in Castile and Leon. Solo Milo a la Bonita, king, 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 ace. Some rule sets reserve the name of solo Milo for pure hands, that is, 3 kings and an ace without 3s or 2s. Unlike the 31 areola hand, this distinction has no effect at all on gameplay. Ley del Muse, king, king, knight, jack. This hand is seen as the minimum a player has to have in order to accept risky bets, at least in first, third and fourth rounds. La Jorzito, king, knight, ace, ace.